Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. The verse is Evam Karuna Bhasinya Vilpantya Anathavad Vyagra Pashum Ivakadad Saudasha Shapamochitaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Being condemned by the curse of Vasishta, King Saudasha devoured the Brahmana, exactly as a tiger eats its prey. Even though the Brahmana's wife spoke so pitiably, Saudasa was unmoved by her lamentation. Purport. This is an example of destiny. King Saudasa was condemned by the curse of Vasishta, and therefore, even though he was well qualified, he could not restrain himself from becoming a tiger-like Rakshasa. For this was his destiny. Tallabhyate dukkavad anyatha sukham. Bhagavatam 1:5-18. As one is put into distress by destiny, destiny can also put one in a happy situation. Destiny is extremely strong, but one can change destiny if one comes to the platform of Krishna consciousness. Karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. Brahma Samhita 5:54. Offer prayers. Om Agnana Timrandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Ti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pashatya Desatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratsise Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhayasya Kripa Sindhubhyayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Grateful for you, Gauracharan Prabhu, for giving me this opportunity. Though I missed last time, he kindly engaged me again. So this is a verse. Just let me read the translation. Haribol Adipush, obeisance to you, please bless me. Being condemned by the curse of Vasishta, King Saudasa devoured the Brahmana exactly as a tiger eats its prey. Even though the Brahmana Being condemned by the curse of Vasishta, King Saudasa devoured the Brahmana exactly as a tiger eats its prey. Even though the Brahmana's wife spoke so pitiably, Saudasa was unmoved by her lamentation. For those of you who are just joined, like about this background of this, here is this chapter is entitled Dynasty of Anshuman, and we have been reading few days how from one king to another in this dynasty of Anshuman. And especially we just read the first time or the great king Bhagirath. And then now this section here is about Saudasa. So this verse especially talks about the destiny. So giving the background here, Saudasa is the king. So his father is Sarvakama. He's in the lineage of Anshuman, the dynasty. He's there. So his wife's name is Damayanti or Madhayanti. He's also a great king. Means he was ruling very Rajarshi type of Rajarshi. But he got another name called Kalmashapada. Kalmasha means a defect or it's mainly defect. Kalmasha, it's like a black mark. Pada is the leg. So on his leg, there is a black mark came. Why it came? Because he was doing some fruitive activities, and Saudasa was cursed by Vasishta. So what happened is, Saudasa being a great king, he killed one of a Rakshasa, a man-eating Rakshasa, because king protects his citizens, his duty. So he killed one Rakshasa who was causing trouble in his kingdom. The king has all right to king, that's all good. But this man-eating Rakshasa has a brother who is also same. He wanted to take revenge on Saudasa. So what he did is, he understood king is very powerful. I cannot fight him as a Kshatriya way. So he devised a plan. He joined as one of his servants in the kitchen of Saudasa, where all they are cooking for the king and all the guests. So he joined as a servant there. So this person who is actually a man-eating Rakshasa, he is waiting for an opportunity to take a revenge against King Saudasa. So once Vasishta came to the kingdom, a great sage Vasishta, so as a honor to honor Vasishta, there was a big feast was arranged, and then this man-eating Rakshasa, who is disguised as one of the servants. So actually, disguise. I would not say disguise, because it's the same. It's Rakshasa, but doesn't mean that there is these Rakshasa sometimes look like humans only, almost like so. But they are like cannibals, you can say. But so this person, what he did is, he cooked human flesh and served Vasishta. That human flesh was passed down into the plate of Vasishta. So Vasishta saw, he didn't eat because he's a very powerful sage, he's a mystic sage. He could see and say that this food is untouchable, is not to be consumed. I got very angry that, hey king, you are serving me like this, and he cursed the king to become a man-eating Rakshasa. Because you think that I am a man-eating Rakshasa, human-eating Rakshasa, that's why you are serving like that. He cursed. But afterwards, Vasishta realized that it is not king's mistake, but rather it's one of the servant. And Vasishta performed austerities. So he did a mistake cursing Saudasa. So he performed 10 years of austerities. At the same time, King Saudasa wanted to counter curse Vasishta. He's a great king too. And he wanted to counter curse Vasishta for cursing him without his fault. So he took the water and then he pronounced the mantra for curse, but later he understood that his wife stopped him not to curse or not to do anything further. So now that water, what to do, he has put it on himself, and then that what he got a mark on his leg, Kalmashapada, that mark, black mark. But because of Vasishta's curse, he has become like a man-eating Rakshasa. Means the king is same, but his nature became like he wanted to eat humans. He wanted to kill and eat humans. That's what his nature became. Though he is in the kingly body, same body, he got the curse. Now, when he has this nature, he's still a king. It's a deadly combination it is, when a king and then he has this thing. So once he was going to the forest, he saw a Brahmana and his wife engaged in sex to have progeny. At that time, this Saudasa became very hungry, and then he wanted to eat that Brahmana. So in previous verses we discussed also like how it is, killing a human is very grave sin it is. Because human life is a responsible life. It is for also, and it gives ability to perfect one's life and get out of existence, cycle of birth and death. So this wife actually pleaded him that he is a very very pious Brahmana. He is not Brahmana not just by birth, but by his qualities. It has all the qualities of the Brahmana. And then his wife says, we need a offsprings, we need children. And then at this time you are a king. He's your subject. He's like your son. You should leave him. If not, I'll also die with him. But Saudasa, because of his contaminated nature, because of the curse, he actually devoured the Brahmana. So here the verse is telling, so that's where this story has come till now. So here it's mentioned that so he devoured actually, and then the Brahmana's wife actually has pleaded him, but he didn't change. So and then Prabhupada is talking about destiny here. So it's a beautiful thing to understand here how it is, what is the destiny and our endeavor. This gives a very beautiful opportunity. If you see, Saudasa has not done any wrong, but still he got a curse and he became a man-eating Rakshasa, or he became like cannibal. Why? Because even though he has not done any wrong, his servant has done wrong, he gets a responsibility. We see in the pastime of Ajamila, Yamadutas, when they come, Yamaraj actually prays that it's my responsibility. My servants have offended Vishnudutas. That means I have offended Vishnudutas. So he says that how it is the master's responsibility. If servants commit any wrong, master's responsibility it is. So Saudasa's servant committed wrong against Vasishta, but still Saudasa got the reaction. That's the destiny it is. It doesn't live, it is destiny. And also, in the same Ajamil section in the Puranas, it's mentioned that at that time, the astrology is very accurate. You feel like in a different yuga it is. Astrology is very accurate. You all can hear? I just want to one response at least.
Yes, we can. Prabhu, thank you.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear.
Sometimes, yeah. So in one of the Puranas, it's mentioned that because astrology clearly shows what is the destiny of a person. So Ajamil's the chart, the astrological chart, clearly showed that he's being in a Brahmana family, is born, but he's going to become very sinful and associated with prostitute and all. So his parents and his spiritual master, they all understood and they wanted to prevent that. That's why they engaged him. They quickly married him actually. And then they gave him all the good teachings and they engaged him to just be in Gurukul. And then just do all the, learn everything, the pious Brahminical activities. And he was not allowed to go anywhere out to earn the living or all, though he's married. The whole arrangement was made, but destiny doesn't leave. Still, he went to a forest to collect wood for his fire sacrifice. He went to forest and then he fall prey to prostitute. So the destiny is very strong generally. It doesn't leave one. But destiny comes because of the previous endeavor, a previous act, previous life or in the same life, whatever act one does, because of that, destiny comes. So destiny one cannot live. That's what Prabhupada is mentioning here in the purport. And he's quoting this beautiful verse from Bhagavatam, 5th chapter, 18th verse. Tasyaiva heto prayate kovido nalabhyate yad brahmatam uparyada talabhyate dukkavadanyata sukam kalena sarvatra gabhira ramasa. It's actually one of my favorite verses. The translation says, persons who are actually intelligent and philosophically inclined should endeavor only for that purposeful end, which is not obtainable even by wandering from the topmost planet Brahmaloka down to the lowest planet Patala. As far as happiness derived from sense enjoyment is concerned, it can be obtained automatically in course of time, just as in course of time we obtain miseries, even though we do not desire them. So this verse says that, how there are different types of bodies or there are different types of births. So according to one's destiny, one takes a particular body. Some take birth in a heavenly planet, some takes birth in a lower planet, some take birth in a planet where a lot of suffering is there, and some take birth in a middle planet like the earthly planet. And still, even if one takes birth in the same planet, but still there are different ways one lives his life. Some with sometimes opulence and good family and good education, good bodily features. But other times another person doesn't have all that. And also it's interesting that even if two persons, they are born in same place and same time, still they live different lives because of their destiny. Still their destiny is different. One will become something, another will become something, one will have a different kind of money and all, because destiny acts on them. So one cannot easily escape the destiny which is there due to our previous activity. So this verse says that that the same thing, our miseries, and Prabhupada writes in the purport of this verse of Bhagavatam verse, this first canto, 5th chapter verse, that the miseries and mixed happiness are two features of material life, and they are obtained in Brahmaloka and in other lokas also. So he says miseries, that is dukkha, and sukha. Sukha Prabhupada doesn't translate just happiness, he says mixed happiness. So in this world, any happiness, it's all mixed. It's like, we want to eat a sweet rice, nice condensed sweet rice, but it's mixed with some sand. we are eating sweet rice nicely, and then this sand particle comes. So it's like taste. It just spoils everything. So like that, any happiness in this world, it's mixed, because there are strings attached to all types of happiness in this world. To enjoy in this world, one has to work very hard. One has to do something hard work. One has to spend some money. Do so many things like that. It's not easy. But that's why it's mixed. It comes with some tax. The conditions apply in this world. So this miseries and mixed happiness is fixed as per one's destiny. So this verse says that one should not endeavor to change this. It's already fixed. So whatever, and then it says that it's already fixed, and then whatever misery or happiness one gets, it is not going to be staying for permanent. It is going to go away. So one need not endeavor for happiness. So because happiness comes on its own, and especially the happiness derived from sense enjoyment, it comes on its own. It is destined, it will come. And then in the course of time, like how one is not trying for miseries, same way the happiness comes even if one is not trying, if it is in destiny. So it is, but everything is impermanent. So what this verse says is, so they will not go behind these miseries, mitigating miseries or obtaining material happiness. What they should be doing is, they should be endeavoring for that which is not obtained from Brahmaloka to Pataloka, or that is not obtained in this material world, which is the devotional service. The devotional service, when one gets devotional service, that is going to stay forever. That is going to stay forever, and that is never lost. So our destiny is fixed. And then whatever activities we do now here, it will take us to next destiny. So here, King Saudasa's destiny, because of his destiny, because his servants committed a wrong act, but still he is responsible. And as per the destiny, he got this nature of man-eating Rakshasa. Now, after getting this nature, it's up to him to stop, to how to act on it. But because destiny and the modes are so strong, King Saudasa couldn't control himself and he killed a Brahmana. And that's another sin he's doing now. He did. For that, he'll get another reaction. He has to wait for reaction for that. So, with destiny, one is put in one place, in a particular situation, and then he helplessly sometimes he acts depending on the modes. It's very difficult to control. He knew, the wife of this Brahmana was teaching him, was telling him how you are such a righteous king and he is your subject, and you are such a famous king, and you know what is right, what is wrong. How can you kill this Brahmana? He's telling, and he also knew that this is wrong, which I'm trying to do. He's my subject and I should not be killing this Brahmana. But because he has that nature, he couldn't stop. He acted on it. And then because of his lower nature, he killed the Brahmana and ate him. Like a tiger eating its prey. It's raw, like eating grass. But because of his nature, it's like that. It's very strong. It's modes and the destiny one puts in situation. At the same time, there's a way out. That's what the Bhagavatam verse is telling, that, okay, this thing is there, whatever situation one is in the miserable or happiness, whatever situation one is in, one should not worry about it, but rather one should perform devotional service. By performing devotional service, what will happen? Our karma changes, destiny changes. What ahead happening, what will happen ahead will change. So we see same thing with an Ajamila's. Ajamila destiny was there, that he has to suffer, or he has to associate with the prostitute and do all the sinful activities. And then because of that, his chart, it was like that, and he acted, he became like that. And from there, he's committing more sinful activities. But now the next destination for him is very suffering, sinful life. It is. That's why the Yamadutas came for him. But what Ajamil did, because of his devotional service, because his parents and his guru engaged him in devotional service, he named his son Narayan. That is the devotional service he is doing, he did, which is not for pious or impious activities, fruitive activity. And then at the time of death, when he saw the Yamadutas, he called out for Narayan. And then the Vishnudutas came and changed his destiny. So by performing devotional service, Ajamil performed devotional unknowingly also. But still, he called out the name of Narayan, and then his destiny changed, which otherwise would have not, it's not possible to change. He would have went on, the Yamaduta would have taken him to hellish planets, and he would have been suffering there miserably for many, many years or many lifetimes. But he called out the name of Narayan, he performed devotional service, and then the destiny changed. And then that is why, because that is not obtainable in this all 14 planetary systems, that is devotional service. He did. And Prabhupada quotes this verse from Brahma Samhita. Isvendra gropam atavendra maho swakarma bandhanurupa falabhaja manatanoti karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Translation: I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who burns up to their roots all fruitive activities of those who are imbued with devotion, and impartially ordains for each the due enjoyment of fruits of one's activities. For those who walk in the path of work in accordance with the chain of their previously performed works, no less in the case of the tiny insect that bears the name of Indragropa than in that of Indra, king of Devas. This Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur's translation, or Bhakti Thakur's translation it is. It's a little tough translation. But here the word says that Karmani Nirdahanti Kintu cha Bhakti Bhajam. So Karmani, so all the reactions of one's fruitive activities, Nirdahanti, destroyed for the persons engaged in the devotional service. So that's the Krishna's devotional service, or that's the Krishna. So devotional service has 6 qualities. One comes in Nectar of Devotion, Rupa Goswami quotes, Kleshabni, Shubhada, Sudurlabha, Mokshalaguthakrut, Sandrananda Visheshatma, and Sri Krishna Karshini. So these are the 6 qualities of devotional service. So one is the Kleshagni. So Kleshagni and Subhada happens even in the sadhana practice. In devotional service, as we know, it's in devotional in practice, devotional service in ecstasy, and devotional service in love. That is sadhana bhakti, Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, and then bhava bhakti and prema bhakti. So it's a whole beautiful book, Nectar of Devotion. Most of you would have read it or are taking classes in Bhakti Shastri, but it talks the science of devotional service, where it's clearly mentioned that even one takes up in the bhajana kriya, an anartha nivritti stage. Adosha, there are 9 stages of devotional service again. Stages, that is Adho Shraddha, Tata Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishta, Asakti, Ruchi, Bhava, and Prema. So there are the 9 stages of devotional service. So even the initial stages, even with little faith, one person with Sadhu Sangha and Bhajana Kriya and still anarthas are there. So at that time also this quality of in Vaidhi sadhana bhakti one can experience the quality of kleshagni and shubhada. Kleshagni means free from the material suffering, free from the previous sinful reactions. So by performing devotional service, once one gets freed from the devotion, that's a byproduct actually. The other qualities that is given in bhava is the sudurlabha. It's very rarely achieved. This is, and there is the moksha lagata krut. It even belittles liberation. And at the prema stage, it is sandra and the vishesha. It's a condensed happiness. The devotional service gives such a condensed blissful happiness that it's ever increasing and it's uncomparable in this world. The happiness is. That's why Prabhupada translates in that verse of Bhagavatam 5th canto, 18th verse, 5th chapter, mixed happiness. Any happiness in this world is mixed happiness. But the spiritual bliss, happiness that one experiences in prema stage is Sandran and the Visheshatma. It is very, very condensed and it's ever increasing. That bliss is, with that bliss, a person living in this world, a pure devotee living in this world, he's completely aloof from this world. He or she is he's not even worried about his bodily necessities. He's just performing. He was just immersed in the devotional service. So that is the quality of devotional service. But in the initial stage, even in the very beginning stage, devotional service gives free from sinful reactions. So one can change the destiny. That's why Prabhupada never encouraged his disciples or his followers to worry so much about astrology and destiny and perform all these different yagnas or fruitive activities and all. Prabhupada said, just go in front of Gaurnita and Radha Krishna and clap your hands. And the lines in your hand, as per the astrology, one of they see the lines in the hand, they see that and tell our charts or our destiny. So that lines will change, Prabhupada said. And not, he never, though, because Prabhupada's spiritual master, Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, he is one of the greatest practitioners of astrology. He was even given a chair in the Benares Hindu University to head the astrology department. But he even wrote books on Surya Siddhanta. But he stopped practicing. And whenever one of the disciples, they would come and ask him about something based on astrology, like, Guru Maharaj, what do you think this will happen or not? Then he always say, if Krishna desires, it will happen. He always say Krishna desires. And then he just says, because Krishna overrides or Krishna desires, everything can change. That's how wonderful and beautiful Krishna is. Krishna can change the destiny of anyone, any persons. And especially, he takes care of those who are serving him. Either he changes the destiny, or he gives the misery, or he removes the misery as per that person can perform devotional service. If Krishna in this world, if he removes all the misery of a sadhaka, and the sadhaka thinks that I don't have any miseries, and then he may even stop performing devotional service. So Krishna keeps miseries also with a sadhaka. But he knows this material world is not my place. I have to get out of this material world. So there is some impetus to perform devotional service. And if somebody is not performing properly, is not following the rules, regulations or something, then Krishna gives some suffering also to correct him, to course correct his actions. So by performing devotional service, one comes under the shelter of beautiful and wonderful Krishna. So that's the sweetness and the uniqueness of devotional service, that one can change his destiny. Though destiny is very strong, it is. And because of destiny, one's natures are also become very, very contaminated. We see Haridas Thakur, for him, this prostitute came to defame him and to contaminate him. And she has this really wicked nature and sinful behavior she has to such a sinless person. She wants to contaminate, of course, because of the association she had. But just by hearing the pure holy name from Haridas Thakur's chanting for 3 days, her nature completely changed and all her sinful reactions are gone. And she became a great devotee. So that is like the causeless mercy. That is like Jagai Madai we see. They also got the causeless mercy of Mahaprabhu, and Nityananda Prabhu decided to give. So the acharyas, like, the line of Nityananda Prabhu, coming from Nityananda Prabhu and all the acharyas of our Gaudiya Sampradaya, to Prabhupada and the current acharyas, their mood is to give the causeless mercy and to relieve the suffering of the conditioned souls in this material world. For that, they take inconveniences. As the Nityananda Prabhu took a beating or took some injury on his head. So that is the nature. That is the nature of the devotional service. So there are. So this is in short. We just have 5 minutes. So I want to stop here and see any comments or questions are there to hear from others. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, Sundarnath, for speaking about this topic on destiny and one's endeavor. Request devotees, if they have any comments or questions, please feel free to share. Adi Pushpa, you want to say something?
How wonderful is Krishna? How wonderful is Krishna? That no matter how fallen we are, I'm struggling to stay awake. We've been up through the night with the guest program. That no matter how difficult and entangled and fallen we are, and how long we've been fallen, Krishna provides access so that we can go closer to him in devotional service. Interestingly enough, Prabhupada surprised us one time. You know Bhuta Bhavana? He asked Prabhupada, do we have to specifically ask for pure devotional service? Can you hear me? Hello? Yeah? He said, do we have to specifically ask for pure devotional service? And Prabhupada did yes. The tendency is to do a little devotional service, but we want pure devotional service. And then another devotee there said, Prabhupada, you want us to be devotees? And Prabhupada said, no. Prabhupada, you don't want us to be, he goes, the Bhajananandi sitting on the bank of Radhakund is being a devotee. He's sitting there, he's chanting Hare Krishna all day, all night for his whole life. But that's not what I want you to do, and you cannot do that. I want you not just be a devotee, but to give devotional service to others. Not just to be a devotee, but you must give it. And then you automatically be a devotee. So we are called to be Ghostananandi. We are called to share, to expand, and to include others in the platform of devotional service to Krishna. And that's what the Guru is asking. There was, you hear this one lecture where somebody says, Prabhupada, in India, they'd chant 64 rounds on Ekadasi. You know that one? You heard that before? Can you hear me? Sundarnath, can you hear me?
Yes,
No?
Prabhuji.
Oh, okay. It said, Prabhupada, they chant 64 rounds. And Prabhupada said, no, 16 rounds. But Prabhupada, in India, they chant 64 rounds. He said, Prabhupada said, if you want to be my disciple, I'm asking you to chant 16 rounds and then vigorously preach. We are not Babaji. Prabhupada said different things at different times, but he's encouraging us to somehow or other make an endeavor to reach out. And when we say, Prabhupada, how can we thank you? He says, the only way to thank me is to give what you think I gave to you to someone else. An interesting emphasis on sharing and expanding. That's all. All glories to Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
In the comments, Athena is mentioned. She has a question.
Hare Krishna, Sundarnath Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams. Thank you so much for such a wonderful session. And thank you, Adi Purusha Prabhu. I really loved your comment. First, how wonderful Krishna is, but also the importance of preaching and the missionary aspect of our movement. And again, that speaks very much to me. The need to make sure we spread the gems, this treasure that we have to others. And thank you, Sundarnath Prabhu. I loved all your stories, again, with Ajamil and to illustrate destiny and the importance of devotional service. I had a very quick question. It's interesting because we talk about how, or in your example, you said that the king kept his human-like form, but yet his nature changed to become a Rakshasa. And on the topic of sin, for example, a lion commits no sin. I'm sorry?
I'm sorry.
Oh. A lion commits no sin eating a deer because that is its nature. However, say we do because that is not our nature. I know that can be a little fuzzy, but we will commit sin if we do eat meat, but a lion does not. Similarly, my assumption is that a Rakshasa does not commit any sin eating humans because that is its nature. It is ordained, I guess, by Krishna just by the nature of a Rakshasa. So this king, when it was cursed for 12 years to have a Rakshasa nature, did he commit, was that act actually sinful because he was acting in line with his nature as a Rakshasa eating the Brahmana? I understood that even though he's a king and he looks like a human, so it's a little unclear, but I remember in your session, you said that the king did no wrong. So that made me think that it wasn't sinful that he ate the Brahmana because he has a Rakshasa nature. And as a Rakshasa, in line with your nature, it's okay to eat humans, given that that is your nature and it's ordained. If you could comment on that. Thank you so much.
It's a good question, Athena. So, see, one is nature obtained by birth. There are few like animal bodies like that, they don't have sin, but they're already suffering because they don't have sin means. Why they don't have sin? Because that animal body is a suffering body it is. And it has been put up in that body to fulfill their desires, and it's a lot of suffering is there. Like tiger, it doesn't get to prey very easily. Tiger has to work very hard, and then the tiger has to be hungry for many days. So their suffering is already involved in that. But a human body is a responsible body. So in that, if one commits any activity, there will certainly be a sin. And even the Rakshasas, they say they cannot just go and eat humans. They will also get the sin. They have to suffer for it. Not that Rakshasa body is sin-free. So mainly the animal bodies who are actually suffering, because Rakshasa it's a kind of, they are like kind of responsible people too. It's just that, they do this caste activity. That's why they suffer like the Ravana. He had all the Rakshasas and they were committing all these sinful things and they were suffering. Everybody has to suffer, all of them. So it's their nature. One is obtained by the birth, like the tiger, that nature we say, and then we say when the nature of a person, because of his previous sinful activities, his nature is, they both looks like synonymous, but it's not. They're not same. Like in English, there are not better words than call nature, but actually it is two different things. One gets by birth, another is by because of in the subtle body, because of desires. Because of desires it is. So the option is there for the king not to eat human, but he can eat vegetables and other things. But still, that when the choice is there and a person chooses a wrong choice, then that leads into sinful activity. But when a choice is not there, it's a different thing. So even if there is a desire is there, desire and like the tiger has desire but have no choice. But for others like Akshas or human, they have desires but they have choice too. So that differs. That's my understanding here. If anybody has any comments, anyone wants to add on this, happy to. If that answers, then there's another question waiting in the chat.
In the court, the judge examines all the evidence for each case specifically, and Krishna will give people the result of what they've done by their choices. And two people might do the same thing, but under extenuating circumstances, Krishna might give one mercy and give one something that seemed more like punishment. But the point is that there's a result. The principle that we cannot ignore is that if we, like Prabhu was saying, when we have a choice, when we have free will and we choose the wrong thing, the human being is responsible and there will be some kind of reaction. And sometimes we do something and because of that, then we're implicated in something else. And because of that, we're implicated. So we have to be very, very careful to stay in the good path. Oh, Radha Muralidhar here. Krishna will help us.
So thank you, Adipurush, for that addition. There's a question here, anonymous question. Is our attempt to mitigate destiny also determined by destiny? Our attempt is what free will is, right? Our attempt how to mitigate destiny is in our hands. From now, how I can mitigate my destiny is in my hand. Now, my attempt can be in two ways. One is to perform specific activities to just mitigate the destiny. That's called the fruitive activity. Like how King Saudasa was, that becomes, with that one gets implicated because of fruitive activities. Because he invited, or Vasishta came, he wanted to do some fruitive activity, or Vasishta came, and then there is some problem there. There is some problem because his servant fed human flesh to Vasishta, and then that got a reaction and he got more suffering than the result. So that's, if one takes the path of fruitive activities, then one will suffer actually. But to mitigate destiny, that's what this verse in Bhagavatam says, that don't worry about mitigating destiny, it will come. It's one thing you should understand, it is not permanent, it will come and go. Don't worry about it. Bhagavatam verses 18th, 5th chapter, 18th verse is telling that. Just do devotional service. That is not obtainable in this whole material world. Just do it. It will be taken care. Everything else is taken care. The good and bad will be taken care. So that one has to do. That attempt we should do. But if you try to attempt per se to do good or bad, it becomes very difficult because it's very complex. Destiny is. Angelica has a question. I don't know, we are having...
Yes. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I was interested in the point that you mentioned, how, one of our acharyas is simultaneously a pure devotee and actually a very highly skilled astrologer, and how, they're kind of, I'm hoping these two things are working together, but I'm actually curious about, what is the boundary between almost like taking shelter of those practices like astrology. We do astrology for marriage compatibility or auspicious dates and other things, and at the same time it's a kind of how much do we trust that and how much do we just trust Krishna, that everything is ultimately up to him. And I feel like it's beautiful how one of our acharyas is actually devoted so much time to learn that art, and even taught that to others. And so, yeah, I would like you to touch more upon that.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, he practiced astrology, or he was curious when he was very young. He was 16-year-old at that time. As a teenager, he did that. But later he didn't practice it, or he didn't even he never thought anybody. He wrote a book on it. But he was given an offer to head a department, the astrology department, but he never took it because he understood that it's not much use. Performing devotional service is the best. So our acharyas, they didn't teach it, but he knew it, everything, but he never used it. And then for your other question of, how much we need to take shelter of these type of things. So first of all, we don't have proper astrologer who is practicing. Generally, it's very difficult to find. They may be there, but I don't know where it is, where they are. But another thing is, Prabhupada was asked this question many times about this. Prabhupada never said strongly about it. Like Prabhupada mentioned, which I always like, is that, as we check weather every day. And then if there is a rain, Prabhupada says, there is no harm in carrying an umbrella. So for doing our service, if we need to carry an umbrella to go to whatever we want to do something, so there is no harm in carrying them. So like that, Prabhupada says, the astrology. So weather forecast, it is forecast. It's like astrology only, and it says there is a rain. So carry umbrella. If it is not much endeavor, it's not troubling anything else. You just have to carry a small umbrella. That's okay. If you can do that, that much is okay. So like that much imparts it, but doesn't mean that okay, rain is coming now. Should I change my course? Should I go different cities? This, that, and all. So that's a whole thing. That answers.
Yes, that's really beautiful because, again, it prioritizes our devotional service and puts it as a main focus. And then, if there are other external circumstances which can actually help us prepare to do our devotional service, or at least not to reroute it or deroute it as from it, then yeah, that's really beautiful. I think that's also a beautiful analogy with the umbrella and forecasting. Yeah, same as, when we do Sankirtan, if it's about to rain, then maybe we can take extra preparation, but still continue the mission. Very beautiful.
Thank you all. I think we'll stop here. Karshan Prabhu, want to conclude?
Thank you. Sundarnath Prabhu ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you for taking out, accepting a last minute request. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
See you all tomorrow.